Office of Divine Worship for the diocese. And they're both really integral and important positions in a diocesan community. The way we worship at Sunday Mass and living out and celebrating the sacrament certainly is really critical to a diocesan church. So that's one aspect of my life. But I think the one that I'm learning that's even more critical right now in my life is the vocation. I'm always energized when I see this DVD. This was designed a number of years ago by a national organization, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, their Office of Vocations, as a way of energizing people to consider the priesthood. And what I have to say tonight, while there are women in the room tonight, we also have vocations to the religious life, consecrated life, for young women in the life of the church. But my approach tonight is going to concentrate only because I'm not a religious sister, I'm a diocesan priest. So my experience is going to be rooted specifically in the vocation of the priesthood. I'd like to share with you basically my story. I'm from Sandusky, Ohio. You've all heard of Cedar Point. So I grew up with that whole environment literally in my backyard. I worked at Cedar Point for 7 summers. Paid my way through the Catholic high school in Sandusky, St. Mary's Central Catholic. And I am the oldest of 5 children in my family. Both of my parents are still living. They are at the tender age of 76 right now. My father is a retired police officer, the Sandusky Police Department, and my mother is a retired registered nurse. A hospital, Catholic hospital that was in Sandusky, was run by the Sisters of St. Francis of Sylvania called Providence Hospital. And my mother worked in the OB department for newborn children for the majority of her nursing career. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. I have 10 nieces and nephews. One of my nieces is on this campus as I speak. I don't know why she's not here tonight. Since her uncle is here. And she is in the master's program in the education department here at OB. And so I'm very close to my family. My mom and dad still live in Sandusky. They have a very nice condominium in the southern part of the city, in the Perkins Township area. And I think I probably, when I look back on my vocational calling in life, I think I was in 2nd grade when I found out about being a priest. I was just enthralled with going to church and seeing the use of the incense, seeing the priest incense. And at the time when I was growing up, the Mass was celebrated with the priest back to the people, and everything was in Latin, it wasn't in English. So it was a whole different kind of feel that you would have when you would go to church than what we experience today when we celebrate Mass as Roman Catholics. And I remember there were a lot of beautiful vestments that were worn and lots of incense. I remember when I would walk to school, my parish church was on the way to the Catholic school that I attended in Sandusky. And so I always would walk in this breezeway in the church and then go in the back of the church and just kind of sit there and see the stained glass windows and the statues and the candles burning. And the church always, as I remember, always smelled like incense. It was something that was really kind of holy. You felt holy. It wasn't as if there was anybody else in the church. It was just me there quietly observing all these various things. And that kind of became a habit for me. I would, on the way to school, stop at the church and say a quick prayer. And then when I would go to school, then I'd come back on my way home and stop at the back of the church and say another prayer, Hail Mary, Our Father. And if I had some change in my pocket, now of course I was older at that point, had some change in my pocket, I'd put it in the little poor box and I'd light a candle in front of this beautiful statue of the Blessed Mother, which is still actually there in my parish church, as well as all the candles that are there, the devotional candles. And then, of course, when I got a little older, I was really leery about doing that kind of thing because I didn't want anybody to know that I was doing this kind of stuff. Holy things, you know, anybody know those things. So it wasn't until and I never, after 2nd grade, I really didn't think a whole lot about the priesthood. You know, I was a musician. I was a drummer in the marching high school band, enjoyed artwork and took all 4 years of art in high school. So I was more into the fine art and performing arts, I guess you could say, was my comfort zone with study and that kind of thing. And I was not a real academic type of person. You know, when I was growing up, I hated school when I was in elementary school. By the time I got to high school, I mean, I got passing grades just to get through it. The irony of my life is, my senior year, I flunked, not the teacher, I flunked senior English. And I majored in it in college. Which is a great irony, that you think about things that you probably would not be doing, and all of a sudden everything works in a different way, maybe the way that you didn't expect, and then you end up actually majoring in those things that you be a part of. I lived a kind of a protected life, you know, when your father's a police officer and your mother's a registered nurse, you know, they're real protective about you. You know, my mother would always say, you know, make sure that you're very safe in the car and all those kinds of things, so you don't get in an accident. And she was even protected when we would walk anywhere, you know, that we'd fall and cut ourselves and have to go to the hospital and all those kinds of things. The worst case scenarios, as I remember how protected my mother was. When my dad, on the other side of the spectrum, was approaching it from a police officer, you know, he's looking from the legal perspective of things. So we kind of lived a sheltered life with 5 children, 5 of us. And my 2 younger siblings, the 2 siblings are closer in age to me, then there's a gap, and then the 2 younger ones, my 2 brothers, are the youngest in the family. And my youngest brother is actually, I think he's 12 or 13 years younger than I. So there's kind of an age difference between the oldest and the youngest in my family. Which, since he has children of his own now, there are like 2 generations of family members, because there's the older nieces and nephews, and then he has the youngest. The youngest one is in 2nd grade. And he is making his first Holy Communion this May. And just informed me a couple weeks ago that he would never go to confession to me. And I said, well, now why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you go to your uncle for confession? He said to me, with all seriousness on his face, he said, because you will tell my mom and dad everything I do. So I had to explain to him, you know, that the priest can't say these things, he can't divulge, this is private, and, you know. And I said, and as I was trying to explain it, I'm thinking, no, maybe I shouldn't explain this to him. I said to him, I'll wait till another time, but I said, you know, it probably would be good if you went to another priest for confession. I said, you can use your uncle as a last resort. If you can't find a priest, you can call me. He is making his first Holy Communion in May. So family's getting excited that the youngest one is now going to be able to take communion in the Catholic Church next month. So, what else can I tell you about my vocational call? It wasn't until my senior year that one of the parish priests in the home parish dropped the proverbial question, I call it the bomb. He said to me, and this was in the fall of my senior year, he said, just pulled me aside, he said, did you ever think about becoming a priest? And I think my reaction initially was I kind of laughed it off. And I said, oh yeah, I thought about it when I was in 2nd grade, but I got big plans for myself. By this time, I had in my mind what I wanted to do with my life after high school. And that was to be a commercial artist and to design billboards and make big money. That's what I thought was the plan. That's what I had in my mind, was this is what it was going to be. Commercial art, billboard design, marketing, that kind of thing, and make lots of money. And the more that I kept thinking of this question this priest brought to my mind, the more I kept toying with this. I couldn't get it out of my mind. And I started praying a little bit more. You know, I used to go through, as I told you, I used to go to the parish church on the way to school or whatever. I was doing that a little bit more, you know, at that time, and kind of conversing with God, thinking to myself, you know, if you really want me to do this, I'm willing to try this, but I'm not so sure it's going to pan out the way you think that you want me to do this. And it was not until my graduation, my high school graduation, I had, by that point, had visited a couple seminaries, and I had decided that I think that I was going to give this a try. So I was going to be entering the college seminary in Cincinnati, Ohio, St. Gregory's Seminary College, it was called. It has since closed. It was in the last graduating class in the college seminary for the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. And I will never forget the first day that my parents dropped me off at the seminary. I was the first to leave because I was the oldest in my family. And in fact, my sister, who was a year younger than I, whose daughter is here at Bowling Green, youngest daughter, wrote me a letter on a typewriter, on a Smith Corona electric typewriter. You guys better remember Smith Corona typewriters, because you all have computers now. But there was such a beast back then, electric typewriter, and she typed this letter to me, and I still have it. I kept it all those years through the seminary. I kept it all the way through the years of my priesthood. I've been ordained 27 years priest. In fact, when I celebrated my 20th anniversary, I had the letter that she wrote framed and put on this display so everybody who came to my 25th anniversary of ordination could actually read what my sister wrote. She had tears rolling down her eyes. She said, "How would you do that?" She said, "I thought you threw that out years ago." I said, "How do you think that, what sustained me through the experience of seminary, and when I felt down and out about things, I'd always go back and read this. It was the most affirming letter, I think, that a sister could write to her brother about how proud she was, and that she would pray for me, and that whatever, in fact, it was kind of open-ended. She said, whatever God has in store for all this, I hope that God will provide what you need to have to do whatever it is your vocation is going to be. And every once in a while, even after 27 years of being a priest, I go back and I read that as just a kind of a support and encouragement at times. You know, by the way, priests do get down and out of this. There are things, there's pressures that we experience at times when you might even ask yourself, what am I doing? Is the work that I do as a priest, is it helping people? Is there some way of support that I'm offering as a priest to people? So I have other people that have written notes to me too. I have a box with all these kinds of things. So when I'm long and gone and someone decides to clean my personal effects out, they'll find this box with all these letters that various people have written me and supported me over the years. So after I entered the seminary in 1976, the fall of 1976. It was the bicentennial year in the United States of America, that year, our 200th birthday. I remember telling my classmates at my high school graduation I was entering the seminary. There were some that just laughed and could not believe it, because I was kind of like a clown back then, and doing a lot of jokes and type of thing with people. And so that was very hard for them to even think that I was going to enter the seminary. There were others who were just said, well, it doesn't surprise us at all. So there's kind of a mixed bag of people thinking about their perception of the whole thing. And it's interesting, I attended my 30th class reunion several years ago, and it was the first time that the entire class asked me, their classmate, a priest, to celebrate Mass for the class. That was really interesting. Very touching experience, that these were my peers that I was with in high school, and now I am leading them in the prayer of the church in the celebration of Mass. It was a really very touching experience for me. And of course, that was one of the first times that I had seen many of them, and for a class reunion. Because what they used, most of the time, what they would do we would celebrate our class reunion every 5 years. They would get on a Jet Express in Sandusky, go to Put Bay, and drink all night, and that was the class reunion. Well, I didn't drink. And so I wasn't about to get into that whole scene, but I could tell as we got to the 30th anniversary of our graduation, they themselves had even mellowed with regard to their adult life, and they were looking at life a little bit differently, and I think that they had come to appreciate a little bit more in their life the fact that faith was important, that they kind of came full circle in their adult life to realize how important faith was. So in a way, maybe my being ordained a priest was a source of strength to have a classmate who was ordained that they thought enough to ask me to celebrate Mass for the class for our class reunion. So we're getting ready to celebrate the 35th anniversary. It'll be interesting how we get a phone call this time around for the celebration of Mass. So